That now I'm delighted to say we've got Paddy Christie on the line, of course the former Dublin fullback and the Sigerson manager for DCU. Paddy, as a noted Dublin fullback yourself, it had been long talked about that the only slight weakness in this current Dublin team was maybe under the high ball, and lo and behold, Rory O'Carroll suddenly back in the fold. He's the perfect solution to that minor problem that the Dubs had.
It seems to have worked out well for Jim and the lads there. There was a few problems around that area, and I suppose he's got the pedigree there, and he's won an awful lot, and he's played at a high level for a long time. I know he's been away for a while, but I think it's not a perfect solution for a fella to come back having not been involved for a while. But it's certainly, I'd say a lot of counties would be more than happy for him to come back into their full back line, you know.
Yeah, tell us a little bit, what has his form been like in club football? I know you've seen him play recently.
Yeah, well, I went unfortunately to see Ballymun playing Kilmacuds in Parnell there a few weeks ago, and he was playing that night, and I suppose it became apparent very quickly that he hadn't fallen back very far in that game. Unfortunately, he was as a kicking fella. He caused us a lot of trouble. Not in any major way going forward. Just the solid sort of ground he gave for Kilmacud in their full back line. He was just powerful under the high ball, and he was very solid coming out with the ball, very powerful, strong, and it didn't look too far off where he was years ago. So I suppose, maybe the break has done him some good. I don't know. I know he's a different type of character. I wouldn't know the chap, but I know from what I've heard about him, he's a different type of person. He's not a GA complete a GA mad player. I think he sort of has other things in his life, and he takes it where it is, the game, and doesn't get overly serious about it. So I suppose in a way that's actually quite good for a fella playing full back in a big match in Croke Park, because he wants somebody who's calm and collected, you know.
Has the role of full back changed in the last couple of years since Rory O'Carroll's last appearance for Jim Gavin's side?
I think that the big change in the last 10 years is that no one is really full back anymore. That's the big change, and I don't think in the last few years that has changed. In the last 10 years, you'll find that full backs are down in the full forward line at the other end of the pitch, and you'll see fellas playing cornerback who are actually playing full back, and they're moving around all over the place. They're out in the half back line. You can't be a full back anymore as such. You can't say, right, I'm just going to stand on the edge of the square, because the tactics have come on so much, and there's so much analysis. Teams will know what to do and where to pull you, and where to leave you. So I think the game has moved on, and I don't think. I think he can play either game, by the way. I think he seemed to be well able to move around the place in the defence for Kilmacud the other night or a few weeks ago, and he can also contest the high ball and throw his weight around in there. So either way, I think he's an addition. Whatever way the game is played, he's an addition, and certainly a fellow with that sort of pedigree who has done it at the highest level. I mean, it's a huge addition for Jim. I think they were struggling a little bit in the last year as regards just the senior panel. There's not too much new blood coming in, and there's no major injections, and I suppose this is like new blood as such, even though he's from years ago. I think it's an injection of freshness, you know.
Yeah, because I was wondering about how does the panel take somebody like Rory O'Carroll coming back in, but you assume that maybe some people are a little bit, their noses are put out of joint because they might end up losing some playing time later in the summer, but the vast majority of people will appreciate that this makes the group stronger in training sessions, and it's going to make the team better in big matches.
Exactly. Well, that really comes down to Jim and the management, particularly the manager, the sort of ethos, the values that he has in the panel, and how people see themselves and their role in the team. And if people see themselves as part of a team and working towards the goal of winning an All-Ireland, well then they'll grudgingly accept it. Whereas, if you don't have a good ethos in the team, if there's not a good set of core values there, you'll get people sort of looking over their shoulder saying, well, this fella's coming in out of nowhere, where did he come from? I get the feeling over the years that I don't think Dublin would have won what they've won without having that good atmosphere in the squad and that good set of core values. I think Jim has instilled that, and the way he conducts himself, and in interviews, and the way he keeps everything low profile, it doesn't get carried away. But I think he doesn't. It's not about Jim. And when you have a manager who's not about ego, I think that sort of transfers into the squad and it percolates down. And I think that makes a huge difference to the panel. I think fellas will accept this grudgingly, because some fellas will end up losing out, I would imagine. But it's for the common goal, you know.
I wonder, is it possible that they could play him as a role player as well, where there are teams that they expect to bombard them with a high ball into the full back line, and there are other teams that they don't or aren't that worried about. You know, if they were to come up against Galway again, for example, you know, Damien Comer obviously did well. There was a couple of goals that they conceded in the league that were kind of fluky high balls into the full back line. The Roscommon one springs to mind, where a ball gets tipped and ends up being a dangerous ball into the full back line. I don't know if you select a team on the basis that Roscommon are, the next time you play them, going to bombard you, but you know, if there are certain forwards that you think that he's going to be very good to man mark or to manage over the course of a game.
Yeah, well, I suppose you could treat it like American football and have specialist roles for certain fellas to come in and out. Of course, they can make unlimited substitutions. They can't in GA, but still, you could. There is certainly, if you were looking after a team and you were playing against a team with a certain style of play, maybe, you know, very sharp, nippy forwards, kicking in low ball, and then suddenly they change and threw a man on the edge of the square, which caused you trouble. It is great in your arsenal to have somebody like that who could just come in off the bench and do a job, and not get sort of panicked in a pressure situation in Croke Park. I think that's huge to have somebody like that. So I mean, yeah, that might be the case. He might be used in that sort of a role where horses for courses certain days, but I mean, certain days to be used, other days not. But I mean, it's a great position to be in regardless. I mean, I think any manager in the country would be happy with having somebody like that involved, you know.
So let's assume that Rory O'Carroll comes back to his peak and he's fully fit for the entire summer. What would your starting full back line be?
Well, I'd probably have Rory full back. I don't know, after that I couldn't be sure. Now there's a lot of competition in there and you have a lot of fellas who can move around, but I'd imagine that he will be, if he's playing well and he's fit and he's up for it, I'd imagine that he'll be top of the queue there, full back. That's all I'd say. You're better off ringing Jim and asking him what his full back line would be for the championship, I'd say.
I mean, I'm amazed you didn't automatically put Philly in there, Paddy Christie. I'm just want to, you know.
If I put in Philly straight away, people will be accusing me of being biased to the Ballymun thing and all. And of course, Philly will be, I'd say, he'll be there around the place at some stage, I'm sure. And he's come back from injury there a while ago, and I think he took a bit of a break as well. So, that's another fella who, again, you may not use him all the time because the nature of the game might dictate other things, but it's good to have a fella like that who has a bit of physicality and you can put him in. And that's what good management is. That's what Jim will be able to do. He'll be able to pick and choose on certain days and certain situations. If you have those options, you have a huge advantage over the opposition, you know.
Well, I think that's exactly it, because Tommy here has just reminded us of the game in Kerry earlier in the year. James McCarthy had already kicked a few points in Tralee, and then Tommy Walsh goes in full forward. Jim Gavin ends up reshuffling and puts McCarthy back on Tommy Walsh. So, you know, you're damaging the midfield and your ability to kick points by having to move James McCarthy back. All of a sudden, if that happens, it's like, well, Rory O'Carroll can do that, and you can still have James McCarthy dominating the game from midfield. Yeah.
I mean, when you're playing the likes of Kerry, Mayo, Tyrone, in those games, you'd imagine this year there's going to be very small margins, and losing somebody like James going back into defence like that is certainly a negative step. So that's it. The big problem, I think, the big concern, I suppose, will be how easy the tactic is for somebody to put just lamp in a high ball on top of a big fella on the edge of the square. That's the problem. Like, you can have tactics and you can have fellas dropping back, things like that, but realistically, if somebody hits a really quality ball in at the right angle with the right trajectory to a big man who's sort of running in on the edge of the square there, with the square ball rule gone now as such, where fellas can run in on top of the keeper, it's worrying, and it's very hard to stop. So, you know, you can try and stop it at the source and stop the ball coming in. You can try and move fellas around, but if you have somebody on the edge of the square who is comfortable under a high ball and it will break the ball away or will catch the ball, that just solves an awful lot of problems, and it stops all the different moves you have to make and the domino effects that happen because of that, you know.
They've got Rory O'Carroll back. Is there any prospect, do you think, that Diarmuid Connolly might come back, or do you feel like they need Diarmuid Connolly at this stage?
Again, just coming back to the new blood thing, I suppose I don't see in the last while as much of the conveyor belts coming through that we had over the years. I think that just, it's not that you'd be worried that Dublin can't win in All-Ireland. They certainly are capable of winning it and are justifiably favourites for it. But every year, you always saw somebody new coming on the horizon, and sometimes there was 2 or 3 people. And now, in the last while, bar maybe Darren Gavin midfield, you don't see too much really pushing on. So I suppose having somebody coming in fresh will add to things an awful lot. I think that's really important, because the squad can just, they don't notice it, but they can get a little bit stale if you don't have sort of fresh blood or new challenges, you know.
Yeah. So Connolly, Mark and O'Carroll in training would certainly get everybody going, whoa, this is a bit different.
Well, I think with Connolly, like, no one would question his class and like that. I mean, like, he'd be in addition to any county team if he comes back, and he wants to come back himself, and Jim's happy with taking him back. That's obviously in addition to Dublin. I think they can. I think if I was being honest about it, I think Rory coming back and playing well is a bigger addition. I think we have plenty of good forwards. You're looking at Cormac Costello there, who hasn't really played much championship football over the years, and he's certainly, you know, I would feel that he could do it on any given day if he's given a chance in Croke Park, and I think there are options there. But I just, from the back line, I'd feel an awful lot better knowing that if Rory was back and going well, I think I'd feel better about it, you know.
Paddy, good stuff. Thanks for joining us this morning.
No problem. Talk to you.
Paddy Christie giving us his thoughts there about the return to the Dublin panel of Rory O'Carroll.
It's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer. It's a different situation to the Diarmuid Connolly situation. Jim Gavin has been in this position before, granted with shorter stints away with the likes of Paul Mannion and Jack McCaffrey. It's not going to disrupt squad harmony. It's not going to come close to disrupting squad harmony, because if you think that Rory O'Carroll gets automatically installed at fullback without proving himself in training, then you're a lunatic.
No, but a few players will be pissed off at the fact that he is going to be eventually installed at fullback. When you think about it, of course he's going to play the game against Tyrone. Of course he's going to play the game against, assuming he's fit and isn't suspended, he's going to play the game against Tyrone, he's going to play the game against Mayo, and he's going to play the game against Kerry. What other games are there this year that are going to be that important to the Dubs? None. They're the only games that actually matter this year.
What are the matchups in those situations? Like Tyrone, it's Matty Donnelly, and he's been speaking about loving his inside forward role in the papers this morning and how it's not going to change with the mark. That is the matchup I'm looking forward to seeing this summer, if it happens.
Tommy Walsh.
Yeah.
That'll be a good matchup.
That'll be pretty good.
And it'll be interesting to see what Mayo do. You know?
Yeah, that...
do they put Cillian O'Connor in there, or do they just go, all right, if that's what you're going to do, let's see how you deal with Aidan O'Shea. Let's just see how you deal with Aidan O'Shea.
That's that is actually a very the Mayo one is actually the slippier one to pick. If you've got like something resembling a fundamental fullback.
What if Mayo put Lee Keegan in full forward?
Could happen, because they've done crazier things, aka Aidan O'Shea at fullback.
Well, that was a different regime, but like, what if Lee Keegan is the greatest forward of his generation, but he's been not ruined. He's obviously Footballer of the Year, and you know, is generally regarded as one of the best footballers of his generation. But what if he's the best full forward we've never seen? Or centre forward that we've never seen? Because
the best thing about Lee Keegan is his running and his athleticism.
Yeah, but what
and
if
his
he
raw
changed the game?
speed.
Yeah, get him breaking onto the ball inside the half forward line.
Yeah.
Against a blanket defence, like, who's going to stop him?
But like I can see him as a midfielder, or potentially a half forward. I think full forward is just a step too far for Lee Keegan.
I don't know, he's got the finishing ability.
Oh, he definitely has the finishing ability. But so does every other of the full forward line for Mayo.
I mean, I think some Mayo fans would dispute that.